Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So as today is Ekadashi, we will read the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada from this book. I'll build you a temple, the Juhu story. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vijvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Bhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are reading today from I'll Build You a Temple, the Juhu story by His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. So on the Ekadashis we read from Srila Prabhupada Leela Amrit, and this is also the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada to make this magnificent temple of Shri Shri Radha Ras Bihari Ji. Recently I also was in Vrindavan, and 90 disciples of Srila Prabhupada were present for the Disappearance Festival, and they also spoke very wonderful pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. So I'll share some of them also along with what we read today. So this is the chapter entitled Arriving on the Scene, a Good Fight. This between October 1970 to October 1973. During this time, at Sea Face Park, Prabhupada often brought up his disciples' blunder in cancelling the Juhu agreement. He held Tamal Krishna, his GBC representative for India, specially responsible, and Tamal Krishna underwent continual humiliation. Often, when Prabhupada received a life member or other friend, sympathizer or supporter, he would show them the agreement, explain what had happened, point to Tamal Krishna and say, "This is the foolish boy who cancelled the agreement. He is so foolish, so inexperienced. This is what he did. And he would make Tamal Krishna sit there and hear the chastisement again and again. It was a huge blunder on your part. Tamal Krishna, it was a huge blunder on our part. Tamal Krishna later acknowledged. There were many more such blunders, but Prabhupada's wonderful quality through them all was that he never gave up on us. No matter how many mistakes a devotee might make, Prabhupada would see if that person wanted to continue to serve Krishna, and he would stand by that devotee. Prabhupada knew that there would be mistakes and he would chastise you like anything, but he never gave you the sense that he did not love you. Despite all of the grand mistakes that were made, I never got the sense that Prabhupada loved me less because of them. I always felt encouraged, not discouraged, despite our many mistakes. In the instance of the contract cancellation, Prabhupada did not reject me. He gave Giriraj and me the opportunity to go through a hellish year and a half of regularly going to Bombay, sitting in lawyers' chambers, trying to rectify the situation. So we know this section which we are reading about is this land of where we have now this beautiful temple. So before Prabhupada, just going a little back in this time, Prabhupada was in Vrindavan and he was writing Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. And he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto in 3 volumes. He got someone to sponsor the first volume, someone second volume, and Sumati Morarji, who used to stay in Juhu, she also sponsored one of the volumes, either second or third volume, something. She also sponsored the printing of one volume because Prabhupada printed the first canto in 3 volumes. So later on, Prabhupada came to Mumbai and he would stay at some other place. So every day he would come, and many times he would come to read Srimad Bhagavatam to Sumati Morarji because she was also devotional and Prabhupada wanted to know her that what he has written. So many times he would come, so he would get down. I heard in one lecture that he would get down at this Juhu bus stop and walk through this way, and Prabhupada would cross this land which was overgrown with bushes and very dirty. But Prabhupada would walk across this land and he would feel that if Krishna gives me this land, then I'll make a beautiful temple for him here. I'll make a palace for him. So this was what Prabhupada would think. And then he would go meet Sumati Morarji, read Srimad Bhagavatam. And later on we know Prabhupada went to then US, and till 1970 he was there. He opened Sri Radha, Dwarkadhish temple, Rukmini Dwarkadhish temple, and he was thinking to make that only as his headquarters. But later on he came with his disciples to Bombay and he started a center in Akash Ganga, which was in South Bombay, downtown. And Prabhupada was asked his disciples that go around and look for a place, we'll buy some land and make our own center. And some of the disciples, while searching for a place, they saw this plot, this 4 acres of land, and they proposed it to Prabhupada that we'll get this land. When Prabhupada came to see here, he was also very amazed. He was very happy and he was amazed that is the same land which I thought that if I get it, even before starting ISKCON, then I'll make a palace for Radha and Krishna. So then Prabhupada told his disciples, we must get this land. But many other disciples thought that, this was like kind of outskirts of Mumbai at that time. Mumbai means it was only till downtown, like what we see here, Worli and all those things. So Churchgate, CST, all this was Bombay. Now we call it Mumbai. So many disciples were thinking that, no, why go so far? Who will come there? And that just a village. We should make our temple in the center of the city. We should make somewhere in South Bombay. And Prabhupada was adamant, no, we must get this land. We must get this land. So somehow or other, of course, it's the will of the pure devotee. And Prabhupada was very much determined. So because of his determination, they met the owner of this land and they got into an agreement, 13 lakhs of rupees those days. And they paid a first installment of, I think, 50,000 rupees. And they moved into the land here. So this was a very big austerity for the devotees because there were hardly any facilities. As I said, even in the beginning, it is mentioned that this was just filled with bushes and it was just a fishing village. People staying here, their main activity was fishing. And because of the desire of a pure devotee, now this has become a place of pilgrimage. From a fishing village and to a place of pilgrimage. And we see now lakhs of people visiting and getting the benefit of having darshan of Shri Radha Ras Bihari. So they got into this agreement and there was no permission to make a temple in the beginning. So they were trying, they got it here somewhere in 72. And we see in the front there is a stone where it is written the foundation stone for this project was laid down, that mentioned there. So they got into, but there was no permission. And Prabhupada said that if government doesn't give us a permission to make a temple here, then we'll make a bus stand. And what we do in the bus stand? So we'll have so many buses and devotees will go in those buses, they will do Sankirtan, they'll come back, park the buses here and again next day. So it will become a bus stand, if not a temple then, with Sankirtan buses. So anyways, when they were trying this, Mr. Nair, he was cheating people. And in the similar way, devotees were finding it very troublesome to deal with him. And he was constantly saying to pay money and many issues were there. And that's how, here it is mentioned that Tamal Krishna Maharaj, the GBC representative of India, he cancelled the deal. He cancelled the whole agreement which Prabhupada had executed. And then Prabhupada was very angry on him. And he mentions that whomever Prabhupada would meet, he would point out to Maharaj and say, this foolish boy, he just spoiled everything and he will just humiliate. But as it is further mentioned that, as Giriraj Maharaj also was there, and he mentions that Prabhupada would chastise us, but we will never get discouraged. That's a special way of chastisement. Generally, if someone chastises us, we will get just discouraged and give up. But he says, I always felt encouraged, not discouraged, despite our many mistakes. Because Prabhupada was so loving and he would give much more love than the chastisement. So they would always count the blessings, they would always count the love which they were getting from Prabhupada. And that was much more inspirational, encouraging, rather than some chastisements. And it's a duty of a guru to chastise his disciples. Like Chanakya Pandit says that a guru and a son should always be chastised. And by chastising, their good qualities, they come up. And if they are glorified, then their bad qualities will come up. So we can just imagine what was the love of Prabhupada, that they mentioned that they all were so much encouraged and they were always wanting to Prabhupada. Prabhupada never rejected them. Anyone who wanted to serve Prabhupada in any way would find out some ways to engage him. In the Western world, one of the disciples of Prabhupada, he was a sannyasi and later on he got married. And we see still that movies there that Prabhupada personally did his marriage ceremony. Someone a sannyasi and then getting married. But Prabhupada always saw the spirit of service, that they want to serve. So it's Kali Yuga and these challenges are there, moreover Western. So more challenges. So some or other keep them engaged in the service. So that was an amazing thing we see in the whole life of Srila Prabhupada, how encouraging, how much he would encourage his disciples. Tamal Krishna did whatever he could to make up for the mistake. And for a month, he spent up to 8 hours a day in lawyers' offices. As he later described his and my activities on Dalal Street, Bombay, the sight of a Western sannyasi with a danda in hand, accompanied by a bespectacled young man carrying a heavy briefcase, became a common sight to the solicitors and their clients who normally frequented the street. Giriraj and I, as Prabhupada's representative, pleaded the case of Radharas Bihari, making continuous rounds from the lawyers' offices to the court in a transcendental drama that lasted for over a year. Actually, our position seemed hopeless, but we kept trying different strategies. So here we see Maharaj, Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Giraj Maharaj going to lawyers' offices and trying to settle this issue because they cancelled the agreement. But Prabhupada wanted, no, we want this land. He was so determined. So all the situation was very much hopeless. But they never give up because Prabhupada wanted them to somehow or other get it back. So one of the Prabhupada disciples was mentioning that for any other project, it was the devotees who had to go through lot of austerities, and when everything was ready, then they would invite the deities. But in Radha Ras Bihari temple, the deities, the Shri Shri Radha Ras Bihari would have to go through the austerities because they had to stay in the hut in the beginning. And certainly in Vrindavan, Her Grace Devi Shakti Mataji was mentioning that in those days, there was only just 5 sets of dresses for the deities. So not even 7. You cannot have even like one dress every week. There's only 5 deity outfits, and the whole seva of the deity would happen in the hut, and the devotees will stay somewhere in the tenant quarters. Tenants buildings were there. So even Shri Shri Radha Ras Bihari had to go through the austerity for this place because Prabhupada wanted it, that there should be a palatial temple here, a palatial marble temple. Every day, all day, I would go out into the city and meet with people. When approaching prospective contributors, if someone didn't want to become a life member, I would ask him to take an advertisement in a publication. If he did not want to take an ad, I would ask him to buy a set of books. If he didn't buy a set of books, I would ask him to give a donation, or at least buy one book, or at least give something to help. And in the evening, I would go report to Prabhupada about my preaching. You can just imagine for Giriraj Maharaj and Tamal Krishna Maharaj to go out and spend time with the lawyers and court. And here again Maharaj is writing that he would meet people and request them to make a donation or buy a book or pay for an advertisement in their publication. At the end of one day, I felt particularly discouraged. I had gone to many people, but most of them had refused to meet me. And the 1 or 2 I had met were not interested in helping. Not one person had contributed in any way. When I explained this to Prabhupada, he said, "Don't be discouraged. If you sincerely try your best to please Krishna, Krishna will be satisfied, even if others are not." I considered Prabhupada's words. The people I had met may not have been satisfied, so they had not contributed. And even the devotees may not have been satisfied, since I had not achieved any desired results. But if Krishna was satisfied, what else mattered? I understood that if I sincerely tried to serve Krishna without any other motivation, Krishna would be pleased regardless of the results. So that's the way to serve Krishna, that one has to just put sincere efforts. And Prabhupada is encouraging his followers and his disciples that some or other just go on. In one of his letters to Kirtananda Swami Maharaj, Prabhupada writes him to develop New Vrindavan temple. He says that You are a three-dandi bhikshu, and bhikshu means you are a licensed beggar. So you must go and collect from people from the richer circles to develop this new Vrindavan project, as we need so much of funds. And take a brahmachari with you who will assist you, and they should also collect to develop this project. So Prabhupada defines there the word bhikshu means licensed beggar, a beggar who is a license to beg donations. And that's what we will read further here, that how Giriraj Maharaj would put so much of efforts going to people and asking them to make a contribution and help develop this project. Those devotees into fundraising, they will realize this, that there was no temple at that time, there was just one hut, there was hardly any development. Not many rich people were staying here. Of course, this was developing into a very big, this is developing into a place where many big people were making their bungalows, but it was all in development. And to get people here so far and not having a temple, not have anything, and ask them to give a donation is so difficult. When we have a temple and we have so many activities going on in the temple, then it's comparatively easier. Neither at that time there were many books. Books were still in the process of publication, or Prabhupada was still translating. So it was really very troublesome for the devotees. And we cannot just imagine what kind of efforts they were putting to develop this project. Shri Radharas Bihari Ji ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Hanuman ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Mr. Mahadevia ran a cloth business, including some Mafatlal retail stores. His older brother, Kumud Chandra, had been the head of purchase for the Mafatlal textile companies, a responsible position for a trusted person. Arvind Mafatlal was the head of both the family and the group, which was third wealthiest in India. His father and Mr. Mahadevia's father had been in business together for many years, and Kumud Chandra had been married to one of the Arvind's sisters. Arvind was also a leader of India's Gujarati community and a great philanthropist. In fact, the family was renowned for being pious and religious people of impeccable character with strong connections with the government. They were specially respected for their charitable work. Mr. Mafatlal distributed food to thousands of people in impoverished areas, and whenever there was a flood, drought, famine, or other disaster, he would take a leading role in providing for the victims. They served nutritious vegetarian food to hundreds of thousands in need, and people often spoke of them with the reverence and adulation usually reserved for the gods. Many times when we met persons to enroll them as life members and get donations, they would ask, "Have you met Arvind Mafatlal?" And we were embarrassed to have to say, "No, we had not." Finally, after I had tried for many months to get an appointment, Mr. Mahadevia arranged one. It was both with eagerness and trepidation that I entered Mr. Mafatlal's office building. Mafatlal House, a back bay reclamation, rode up the lift and entered his office. After Mr. Mafatlal greeted me from behind his large desk, I sat down and began telling him about our philosophy and some of our activities in India. When he described his food distribution and free eye camps and other charities, however, discussion became somewhat contentious. I objected that feeding needy persons and giving medical relief were karma kanda. Mr. Mafatlal insisted that such activities were bhakti. We disputed a bit, but I did not want to alienate him by arguing, and eventually the meeting ended without a conclusion. When I returned to Sea Face Park that evening and Prabhupada asked how the preaching had gone, I related the incident. "Is it Karmakand?" I asked. Prabhupada replied that Mr. Mafatlal's activities were in the category of charity. Charity is recommended for householders, he said, and he praised the activities for those who served in this way. I could see from the way Prabhupada was answering that he wanted me to appreciate Mr. Mafaslal's philanthropic activities. But then after telling me how good they were, he acknowledged that they did actually fall in the category of karma kand. His point, I understood, was that my attitude towards karma kand should be sympathetic rather than condescending. We should appreciate the service of those whom we met, even if they were not on the highest platform, and not feel that we were superiors. So here Maharaj explains this meeting with Arvind Mafatlal and trying to seek a donation, but at that time nothing happened. And they were so much, staunch follower of bhakti that they didn't want to do any compromise in talking. So even like when Mr. Mafatlal is telling about his activities of social service by organizing an eye camp or just giving some food to the needy, we can just read here. We disputed a bit. Maharaj didn't appreciate that. However, Prabhupada said that it is the responsibility of householder to do charity, and as a matter of, as we are meeting them, we have to appreciate whatever they are doing for the society, and then in that way, when we appreciate, they will also help us in some other way. We see this quote we see in Prabhupada quarters where it is mentioned that Prabhupada writes in a letter to Giriraj Maharaj that I want that all the important people of Bombay to come here and spend their weekend with us in Hare Krishna land, practicing Bhakti Yoga. And recently also, just 3 days back, 1st November, there was Gopastami in Talasri, and I visited there. Many of the devotees came, and it was very nice to see His Grace Devkinandan Prabhu inviting the big business giants of India, Sajjan Jindal and BKG and Ashok Goyal. These people, every minute they make crores of rupees, and taking out time and flying through a helicopter and coming to Talasri. We see materiality just like feeding the cows and, take some prasad. 4, 5, 6 hours almost they must have given for that, But we see how much impressive is Prabhupada's movement, and Prabhuji is carrying that spirit of preaching these big business giants who fly all the way in a helicopter from Mumbai to Talasri on a Gopastami day, which happens to be a working day. It's not like even a holiday. Who knows Gopastami in India except ISKCON devotees? Who knows Gopastami? Even on Janmashtami, when we invite people that come here, we have experienced that those who are too busy, they say it's a working day, we cannot come, we have some business dealings, and it will be too crowded. They refuse to come here, even if given a free Kalash pass to come to ISKCONJuhu, they refuse because they are so busy. And here we saw this businessman coming all the way it was a Tuesday, working day, Gopastami, and spending almost 4 or 5 hours appreciating ISKCON, appreciating Prabhupada, and appreciating the efforts of all the devotees there, and appreciating a lot Devkinandan Prabhuji. So that was very nice to see that Prabhupada always wanted that these kind of people who are the big business giants of India, they should get connected to ISKCON, and they should appreciate this activities which ISKCON is doing. Fourth, the preaching is there for all the masses, but he especially wanted that all this. And in fact, we see in Prabhupada's life personally that he went and met the Prime Minister of India, isn't it? And he gave Bhagavad Gita. And before that also, he would write letters to Mahatma Gandhi that how you should run the nation and what you should do. So in that way, Prabhupada would always think of big and try to influence these big people and try to get their support to spread Krishna consciousness. And we see when Prabhupada disciples also were carrying the same spirit, like in the book Swamiji by Brahmanand Prabhu and his brother Garg Muni, they write that in 1974, to preach in India, and they had some books, so Prabhupada wanted them to go everywhere in India and distribute books, especially in libraries, government offices. So Garg Muni Prabhu in 1974 somewhere, he bought 6 Mercedes vans from Germany, and he drove all those vans from Germany to India to Mayapur festival. You just imagine in those days buying Mercedes vans and driving it all the way from Germany to India. And the purpose in India is to distribute books. go around all the libraries and various places and distribute books of Prabhupada. I mean, how many temples nowadays we see to have a Mercedes van? We don't find that they would own a Mercedes car, but then we see that Gargmuni Prabhu bought 6, not 1, 2, 3, but at one go 6 such vans and got it to India to distribute books of Prabhupada. And in those days, if you get an imported car, then one can keep it only for 1 year. It will be like permit. After 1 year, one has to take it outside India, again get the permit and again bring it back. So they had to take this car to these vans to Nepal and again get new permit and again bring it back to India and again use it. So that was their spirit. Other place we hear that one of the Prabhupada disciples, he mentioned that he was in Japan, he wanted to come to Vrindavan and he told to Prabhupada, I want to come to Vrindavan. And Prabhupada said, I am developing so many projects and we need you to raise funds. And they would raise funds in Japan. So I think it was Guru Kripa Swami and Prabhupada said him that at least for 12 months you send me every month $5,000 and then you can come to Vrindavan. And after 1 month he came to Vrindavan and he was in front of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, I told you to be there for 12 months, send me every month $5,000 and then come. Why did you come now? And he said, Prabhupada, I'm ready with $60,000, so I came. 5 months, 12 months, $5,000 comes out to be $60,000. So I was ready with my quota, so I just came here to give you. And Prabhupada was very impressed. In 2018, there was 40th anniversary celebration here and we were hearing Prabhupada disciples. So there was a group of disciples who had gone to do book distribution in Japan because it was lot of tourists would come and it was easy to even raise funds. So they went to Japan, they were distributing books, but we know when we distribute books, the government or the police officers, they get little annoyed. They just want to chase away. No, you cannot do, go away. We have that experience either we do in the train or even on traffic signals. Many times they just say, don't do it here. Or if you go to any park, we just before the COVID, we would go to the bandstand in Bandra, and there also some what you call association of bandstand. They also came and said you cannot do book distribution here. It's just on the beach. There also you cannot do. So like that. So these devotees were distributing books in Japan, and they were caught by the police again and again. So they saw these people have come from US. So they sent him back, deported him back to US, cannot come here, cancelled their no more entry to Japan. What they did, they went back to US. They again changed their name. They got new passport with new name, again came back to Japan. Again started distributing books for some time. Again got caught, again sent back to US. Again they changed their name because that time it was not like biometric or there was nothing like digital. Again changed their name, again got new passport, again came back to Japan. Like this they did 3 times. 3 times before they finally stopped doing it. 3 times they cancelled, they got themselves new name, got new passports, came to Japan to distribute more and more books and raise donations to send it to India to help Prabhupada build Vrindavan temple as well as this Sri Sri Radha Ras Bihari Mandir. So we can just see the efforts which has been put by these disciples of Prabhupada. Of course, it's Prabhupada and his disciples who put so much efforts and they have developed this project, and now it is so easy for us to invite anyone, and this wonderful Kartik festival, Damodar festival or any festival which is so gloriously celebrated here. It becomes so easy for us to invite anyone. You want to do any youth camp, we say them, we'll take you to Juhu beach and we'll show you a big temple and heaven on earth. And we show the photos and they just get attracted. And in those days for Prabhupada disciples, they were just Sri Sri Radha Ras Bihari in a hut to attract. And Maharaj going around and putting so much of efforts to raise sponsorships to run the temple, Now, and in those days, the devotees would put efforts, so much efforts to bring donations, to maintain the temple, to develop, and they had to later on get all the tenant vacated, So bring so much money from outside to be able to run this project, That was the enthusiasm and spirit of the devotees. and which we can see here for especially this project, this temple. And it's our great fortune that we have this opportunity to serve here and to give our best service for Shri Shri Radha Ras Bihari Ji, and we should always consider it as a privilege and amazing opportunity for us, which has become a place of pilgrimage. In the preface of this book, it is mentioned that Prabhupada spent the maximum number of days in Bombay, 554 days in Bombay. So one of the favorite project and very much beloved deities of Srila Prabhupada. So we cannot just calculate what is our great fortune. In this Disappearance Festival in Vrindavan, His Holiness Navyogendra Maharaj was mentioning that he went one time to Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, I had shown my horoscope and the astrologer told me that I am very fortunate. And Prabhupada replied to him, that's why you have come to me. So it is someone's great fortune, then one gets the opportunity to come here and serve in this beautiful temple. Maharaj told one more very interesting pastime, which is amazing glorification of Srila Prabhupada. So he said that one devotee, one Russian devotee, one Mataji, she was distributing books and preaching in Russia, and she was caught by the police and they put her in the jail. And she was having such a high spirit of preaching that she started preaching the inmates in the jail. And she started telling them to chant Hare Krishna and doing all the spiritual activities inside the jail. So the police people got really frustrated at what to do with this lady. She is like having so much of a spirit of preaching. So the police, they hired a magician, you call it like a witch. They hired a witch to control this lady. And they got that witch to the jail and they said that, control this lady. She is so much trying to preach here, So that Mataji, she saw that this is a magician, she has come, some black magic she is going to do. Then she started chanting Narsimha and nothing happened. Then she chanted Hare Krishna mantra, nothing happened. Then she started chanting Prabhupada Pranam mantra, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namne, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschata Deshatarine. So when she chanted there, the witch, she started saying, she saw the old man has come with a big stick and she started running away. And the police officer told, what happened? Why are you going from here? And that witch told, don't see, there's an old man with a big stick. He's threatening me that he will kill me. So I cannot stay here anymore. I cannot do this business. I cannot be here. I have to go away. And she ran away from there. So Maharaj was saying that Prabhupada's, in fact, just remembering Prabhupada and his pranam mantra is so powerful that anytime we are trying to serve and we face some challenges, if we just remember Prabhupada and we pray to him, surely he will help us much more than what we could imagine. Just like when Prabhupada told one of his disciples who was finding very challenging to practice Krishna consciousness or preaching, he told that you go and pray to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta because a grandfather is more merciful on his grandson. A grandfather is more merciful than father on his grandson. So similarly for us, Srila Prabhupada is our grandfather and we happens to be grandson. So we can expect more mercy from Srila Prabhupada by praying to him and by requesting him to give us an opportunity to serve in his mission as much as possible, because that would be the best use of bad bargain. What else the body could be used for. So if it is used in this service, it could be the best use of bad bargain. And also an important pastime which I heard about in 1975 when this ISKCON Vrindavan temple was inaugurated. So Prabhupada got his own deity installed on the altar, isn't it? Prabhupada was living at that time and his own deity was there on the altar installed, So we heard this from Har Grace Devi Shakti Mataji, and she told that one day later on, Prabhupada said to his servant, it was afternoon time, that go and get my plate from the altar. And the servant went to the head pujari and he said, Prabhupada is asking his plate from the altar. And pujari said that the offering is still going on. But the servant said that the person whom you are offering is asking his plate. He wants to have his own food. He's own meal. And the head pujari was little hesitant that how come when, in between of the offering, how could you take out the plate and take it out? But as we do hear of special offering to Prabhupada, those who go and do offering, they know, along with Gaur-Nitai deities, there's a separate whole offering for even Srila Prabhupada. So then finally the servant took that plate and gave it to Prabhupada at the same time when even Rajbhog offering is going on. And Prabhupada taught by this that he is non-different from his deity in Vrindavan Dham, the deity which he has installed. He is non-different from that because he installed that deity in his own presence and is asking the offering that bring me that offering. And many times he did that. And he would do that to check the quality of standards, what kind of offering is being made to Radha Shyam, Shri Radha Shyam Sundar, Shri Krishna Balram and Shri Gaur Nitai. But he would many times call for his offering, and that shows that his deity is non-different from that. And one South Indian scholar Brahmin had come to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, you are still living and you have installed your own deity. Do you know what will happen? All the people will come and they will pay their obeisances to you, and you will have to take their karma for that, and that will spoil your health. And Prabhupada, in very grave voice, he said that's what I came for. That's what I have come to deliver all the fallen people. So these are some of the amazing pastimes of Srila Prabhupada in Juhu as well as in Vrindavan Dham. And as Navagovinda Maharaj said that about his great fortune, so similarly that's our one of the greatest fortune to have opportunity to serve in this temple of Shri Shri Radharas Bihari Ji and give our best services and glorify. And as marathon is coming, we can try our best to distribute more and more books. Every year the Juhu is distributing around 1,80,000, 1,70,000. We can try to increase it and take it to next level, 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs. So that's what we can. Last 2 years because of COVID lockdown, it was a little difficult, but this time everything is quite open. So that maybe just a thought. We can think of that as our offering to Srila Prabhupada by increasing more and more distribution of his books, because that's what he wanted all of us to do, more and more. One of the most important thing. Hare Devi Shakti Mataji mentions that she was here and in Mumbai, and Prabhupada would send them every day to distribute books in various colleges and universities. So every evening she would come and give her report to Prabhupada that today we went to this college, today we went to that university. And Prabhupada would tell them, tomorrow you go to this place and go to that lane, and there is a university there and there is a college there. So Mataji was saying that we would think, how come Prabhupada knows, how come he knew the Bombay city so well that he tells that go to this university, go to that particular lane, go to that particular railway station. And when she went there, she would realize that Prabhupada personally went to those places, because when he printed his first canto in 3 volumes, he personally went to those universities to give his 3 volumes of first canto. And many places they saw that the first canto, either first, second or some volume was already in that library, which Prabhupada had personally did. And now, when more books were printed, so Prabhupada is asking us also that go and install. So Mata is mentioning, this was by Hare Devi Shakti Mataji, that how Prabhupada would ask all of them to put books in the libraries, in the colleges, and spread this, flood this. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Today also happens to be Tirobhav Divas, or disappearance of Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So I'll just speak a little bit about Maharaj. We'll chant his pranam mantra first. Namo Gaur Kishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murte Vipralambara Sambodhe Padam Bhujayate Namaha. So this is a pranam mantra for Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and today happens to be his Tirobhav Divas, disappearance day. So Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji was appeared in Bangladesh And at his young age, he was married, but his wife died soon. And he came to Vrindavan. And he spent his 30 years in Vrindavan, 30 years in Vrindavan Dham, chanting every day 2 lakh holy names. That's almost like 128 rounds of japa every day. He was known for his renunciation, Vairagya Murte, so for his spirit of renunciation, so much renounced, fully renounced. Somewhere from 1849 onwards, for 30 years he was in Vrindavan Dham, every day chanting, staying in different places like Giri Govardhan, sometime Radha Kund, Shyam Kund, Barsana, Vrindavan, different forests of Vrindavan. And just living on Madhukari, begging some alms, getting some rice, and just eating little bit of rice. Otherwise, he would feel hungry. You know what he would eat? He would just take from some mud from Yamuna, or he would take some mud from Radha Kund and eat that. Just imagine if we have a yatra where the menu we have like this, mud from Yamuna, mud from Radha Kund, we'd never go and we'd never able to appreciate that. But that was his spirit of renunciation, that he would just chant whole day, and if he was feeling hungry, he would take some water, drink some water from Yamuna, eat some mud from Yamuna, and that's what he would survive on, and just chanting the holy name whole day. So, like this, he stayed for 30 years in Vrindavan Dham, just doing bhajan. He got initiated by a disciple of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, whose name was Bhagavad Das Babaji Maharaj. So from Bhagavad Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj took initiation. Later on, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj shifted to, he thought that I have stayed so many years in Vrindavan Dham, very humble, and because of humility, he felt that I am doing so much offenses and I cannot progress in my spiritual life. I stay here and I do offenses. Better I go to Navdeep, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful and he forgives all the offenses. So that would be a better place for me. And Mayapur and Vrindavan are not different. So then he left Vrindavan and he went to Navdeep Dham, Sri Mayapur Dham. And he started staying in Mayapur Dham. And again, there also, he would just do Madhukari, just wear some little bit of loin clothes, not like that, also discarded clothes. Like, there's not much information, but some places I read that he would just take some discarded clothes. Some places I read that he would take some discarded clothes of the corpse, dead body discarded clothes from the shamshan, and he would just use those clothes. And if he would feel hungry, then he would just take some rice soaked in Ganga water. That's it, nothing else. Otherwise, if he's chanting on the banks of Ganga and if he's feeling hungry, then just some Ganga water and mud from Ganga. That was his meal. And again, every day chanting 2 lakh holy names, always in his bhajan. He was very impressed by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he would regularly go to hear discourses of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Now, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, being a householder with almost 10 children, but he was such an elevated soul that Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji would come every day to hear from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur discourses on Srimad Bhagavatam and other discourses. Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was not at all attracted to any kind of material things, nothing. Many times people would come to touch his feet and he would say, if you touch my feet, then your whole family will be devastated. Don't touch my feet, He would just run away from anyone who would come to take any blessings or want to give any donation. And to avoid people, he would chant his rounds, he would do his bhajan inside a toilet, inside a lavatory. He would say it is better to smell stool and chant Hare Krishna rather than staying outside and associate with materialistic people and spoil our consciousness. I mean, we cannot just imagine what kind of dedication to chanting the holy names. So when the government officials came and told that, Babaji, why you are chanting inside a toilet? We'll make some nice bhajan kutir, we'll allocate some government land for you, you can have your bhajan kutir. And he said, no, it's better to chant here and not get disturbed rather than chanting outside and people coming and disturbing me. So one time the local king was very impressed because he was such a big renunciate and such a great devotee. The king was very impressed, and the king invited. He sent one messenger that go and invite Babaji to my palace, and I want to see him. The messenger came and met Babaji and told that Maharaj, no, our king wants to see you and is inviting you, and he wants to hear some discourses from you. So Gaur Kishore Das Maharaj, such a big renunciate, he just refused the offering. He said, no, I cannot go there and I see a materialistic king. By seeing his wealth, I may get attracted to that wealth and I may spoil my bhajan. Better if that king is interested in Krishna consciousness, tell him to give up everything, donate all his property to his relatives, come, stay with me here and we'll chant together here. That's the only way to do Hari Bhajan. It's not possible with all wealth and palaces and all that. So he was so determined that he would not see any materialistic people. And anybody give any offering to him also, he would just give it in the service of the Vaishnavas. He would just give in service of devotees. When he became old and his eyesight was not good, his disciple Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati requested him that Babaji Maharaj will take you to Kolkata and get you cured. And he refused. He said, I don't want to go and see material universe. I just want to be in Mayapur Dham. I don't want to go outside and see the material universe. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur told that, no, I will serve you and you will have no problem. It will be all, you will staying in the Matha temple. There won't be any trouble. But he was not at all ready to go for any eye treatment or get cured. He said, whatever is there, I'll stay in Mayapur Dham only. I'll not go outside. So I don't feel myself at all qualified to speak anything about such a great Paramhansa Babaji. But just as a service, something which I am sharing with all of you. He would never initiate any disciple, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur told Vimla Prasad, that was his son who later on became Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, that go and take initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So Vimla Prasad came to Babaji Maharaj and requested that please initiate me. And Babaji Maharaj said that I am just a illiterate, poor, I am no one, I am not even a Vaishnava. How can I initiate you? How can I give you Diksha? You are such a big scholar and you are such a big Pandit, I cannot initiate you. So he refused. Some other time he told that I will check with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whatever he says, then I will let you know. So like that, different pastimes are there. But many times Srila Vimla Prasad went and he was refused. But seeing his consistent devotion and his deep desire to perform bhajan, Krishna consciousness and his real humility, finally Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj agreed to give initiation and he gave him the name. What's the name he gave him? Not Bhakti Siddhanta. What was the name given by Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta? Shri Varjvanvi Devi Daitya Das. That was the name he gave. That's what is in the Pranam Mantra also of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This name came after sannyas, but the name given by Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was Sri Varjvanvi Devi Daitya Das, like that. So later on, when Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was about to leave his body, he told that when I leave my body, then you drag my body through the pathway, through the roads of Navdeep, so that my whole body gets purified by touching the dust of Mayapur Dham. So later on he left his body and many people came to claim that I should be given the body of Babaji Maharaj to make Samadhi. Many false imposters at that time, they came to claim the body of Babaji Maharaj. And at that time when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta also came to know that Babaji Maharaj has left his body, so he came there and told that nobody can touch his body because I am the only disciple and I have the only right to take his body. Because the others wanted that if they make his Samadhi, many people will come, they'll give money, they'll give donations and they'll make money out of it. But there's big argument going on and the police came. Then Srila Bhakti Siddhanta said that anyone here in this assembly, if he has not associated or had any illicit relationship with any woman for last one day, then he can come and take the body of Babaji Maharaj. And like that, what I read, that he said, not in last 6 months, not in last 1 year, like that he asked, and nobody dared to come ahead. They all went back. Then Srila Bhakti Siddhant took the body of Babaji Maharaj to make his samadhi. Some other people came and said that no, we should fulfill the desire of Babaji Maharaj. He wanted that his body should be dragged on the roads of Navdeep. But again, Bhakti Siddhanta Surya Thakur refused, saying that he said because of his natural humility, he was so humble. But that doesn't mean that we do that. He is a great Paramahansa Acharya, and he told the story of how Haridas Thakur left his body and what Mahaprabhu did. Mahaprabhu took the body of Haridas Thakur on his lap and he did Sankirtan. It is a great festival that Babaji Maharaj Haridas Thakur has left his body. So he took in the lap and he danced, taking the body of Haridas Thakur. He did Sankirtan. So he said, it's not appropriate that we take the body of Babaji Maharaj and we drag it. It is a great offense. What he said was natural humility, but we should not do that. So later on they made the samadhi, and now when we go, we see there's a samadhi in Chaitanya Mat. There's one more pastime which I remember. One time in Navdeep, Babaji Maharaj told that tomorrow we'll celebrate the disappearance of Sanatana Goswami. And his servant asked that how are we going to do that? We don't have any money, we don't have any paraphernalia, we cannot have any feast. So how are we going to do the celebration of disappearance of Sanatana Goswami? So then Babaji Maharaj told, we are just going to fast whole day and we are just going to chant Hare Krishna, and that's how we are going to celebrate the disappearance of Sanatana Goswami. So that was his mood, just fast whole day. Every Ekadashi he would just fast, dry fast, and he would just chant whole day Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So again, on his disappearance, we can pray for our own spiritual advancement, that we also develop the spirit of renunciation. But in our preaching movement, as Srila Rupa Goswami has said, under the guidance of our spiritual master, we do follow Yukta Vairagya, but it's a different thing. But we can, the spirit of devotion which he had, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and the keeping always away from all kind of materialistic people, whether it may be a king or very rich businessman or anyone. He would just not entertain anyone and just focus on chanting, very straightforward in his preaching, and give his classes which would touch even the heart of, it would melt even the heart of most materialistic people, and they would also develop renunciation and desire to do Hari Bhajan. So that was Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And we can just imagine that period of 10, 15, 20 years when all these acharyas were personally present on the planet. At one time, there was Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Surya Thakur. They were all together on the planet. And even Srila Prabhupada was there at that time in his householder. But all these four acharyas were living together on the planet in those 15, 20 years we see in our parampara. So today on his disappearance day, we sing this bhajan of Sa Parshad Bhagavat Viraha Janita Vilapa, lamentation due to the separation from the Lord and his associate from Pratana. Someone can play Mridanga? This bhajan is written by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Lamentation due to separation from the Lords and his associates. From the Lord and his associates. Je anilo prema dhana karuna prachur Heno Prabhu kotha gela Acharya Thakur कहाँ मोरा स्वरूप रूपा, कहाँ सनातन स्वरूप रूपा, कहाँ सनातन, कहाँ दास रघुनाथ पतिता पावन, कहाँ मोरा भट्ट जुगा, कहाँ कबीरा, भट्ट जुगा, कहाँ कबीरा, एक काले को था गेला गोरा नटराज, गेला गोरा नटराज, पासाने कुटीबो माथा, अनले पसिबो, कुटीबो माथा, अनले पसिबो, गौरंगा गुनेरा निधि कोथा गेले पाबो, गुनेरा निधि ते सबा संगीरा संगे, जे कोई लो विलास, संगीरा संगे, जे कोई लो विलास, ते संगा न पाया कांदे नरोत्तम दास, जय वैष्णव ठाकुर, जय वैष्णव ठाकुर, वैष्णव ठाकुर, जय वैष्णव ठाकुर। श्रील गौर किशोर दास महाराज तिरुभाव महामहोत्सव की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की। हरे कृष्णा। प्रभुपाद की जय।